You know, and I do consider myself a musician, not a rock star, not a guitar hero, not a shredder. I'm a musician, and I love music, and that's why I do it.
Alright, 80s Week is continuing, and I wanted to do a dedicated episode to none other than Jake E. Lee, because there are just so many cool little tricky things inside of his playing that maybe we missed, and I think that there's certain reasons why Jake is doing them the way that he is, and he's just a phenomenal player. So today we're talking about Jake E. Lee, how he tricked us all, and if you would, do me a huge favor, check out my brand new course, Essential 80s Licks, bam, right here. I actually have a section dedicated to Jake as well as 9 other guitarists from the 80s. So if you really want to dive into that 80s style, check out the brand new course. It's on sale, 70% off this week. And we're also giving away this EVH guitar. I'll link the giveaway down below as well. So anyways, let's get talking about Jake. Also, before we get too far into things, I do want to wish Jake the quickest recovery. A lot of you guys know the accident that has happened. And I wish Jake all the best, and I hope that he recovers soon. So, all right, let's dive into this.
But I'll just go over the things most people get wrong on it, which is the opening riff, very first thing. You get that, and then the next chord. So it's.
Alright, so the first one up is Bark at the Moon, and there's a lot of things here that people typically play wrong. There's actually a really cool video, you saw the little intro clip that I had of Jake talking about it, where he breaks down 3 big parts that people typically get wrong about Bark at the Moon, and that intro part is one of them. And I played that thing wrong for years until, I don't know when that video came out, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I saw that, I'm like, I've been playing Bark at the Moon wrong this whole time. And the one thing is this right here, and I love the idea because a lot of Jake's stuff is very, it's just very applicable. Like, you can take an idea from Jake and be like, oh, wait, that's a really cool idea of just moving one note around like this. So, you have the intro, which they play that part right. But what happens next is he goes like this. And one thing that you can find about Jake, he does really big stretches. And I love something he says in the video, because I'm going to show you another lick here from Bark at the Moon. And he said, you know, you can play it this way, which is easier. He's like, but it just didn't sound right. And I love stuff like that because different strings sound different. I know that might sound funny to say, but the thickness of the string changes the way that the notes sound. And that's kind of the message I'm hearing Jake say when he says that. He's hearing it, and he's like, yeah, it's easier to play this way, but it doesn't sound quite right. So what we do here is you're going to go 10th fret on the D, G, and B. This is a little tagline after the intro. So you have this F chord, but you're just doing the top part. So 10 on the D, G, and B. Then you go to 9 on the D, 10 on the G and B. Stretch all the way back and get 5 on the D, and then 10 on the G. Back to 9, and then back to the first chord. So.
People get that right, and then I don't know what they do for the next one, but I do this.
And then the other one here with Bark at the Moon is the outro solo. Which, I gotta be honest, I played wrong. I played it like this. And Jake talks about this, and he's like, no, he actually plays it like this. And he's going, you know, which is definitely more difficult. But he says it just sounded better this way. And now that I've played it like this, I'm like, I hear it in the I'm like, oh yeah, you can hear the notes kind of ringing together a little bit, and now I can't hear it this way. And how he's doing that on the outro solo is you're gonna go from 17, pulling off to 13 on the beat, and then you're reaching with your pointer finger to 10. So that's the big stretch part. The first one, and then he goes that part, and then he goes like this. So 17, 13, 10. 17, 13, 10, and then he just moves it down a semitone for a half step. You're gonna go 15, 12, 9. So you have, oh, sorry. Then you move down. And then it starts over again, which is just a really cool lick. Again, I think he's doing that because, and in the video, he plays it this way to show you, like, he knows that you can play it an easier way, but it just doesn't sound right. You know, and as soon as I'm like, it doesn't sound right. Now I can't hear it the other way. So I thought that was cool. And another thing that Jake does really cool is tuning his guitar for a particular song, and we're going to go talk about that one next. So right away, this could be a couple Bark of the Moon things. Maybe he tricked us on them, because a lot of times I think that we think these guitarists are maybe doing the easier voicings than what they actually are, and they're doing the more difficult ones. So, but let's go talk about Shot in the Dark. Okay, so Shot in the Dark. A lot of really cool things going on here that we can take away, including a rather interesting tuning. So let's talk about the tuning first, because for this one, what you have to do is your bottom 4 strings are actually tuned down a half step. So your high E, B, G, and D are all tuned down a half step. Now, your low E and your A string are actually tuned up a half step. So you got your F and then that B flat. Well, that's not B flat because I'm tuned up half step already. But, so when you play it together, it's pretty cool. It's a really cool tuning to use. And you can come up with some very interesting things out of it. So right away, a very interesting tuning out of this, you know, seemingly like it sounds like it's just a simple, you know, 80s riff, and then you're like, oh, this is really, really cool, because what happens is you have open strings involved, you know, that right there instead of fretted notes, and they do sound a little bit different. I've seen some live clips of Jake playing it now here more recently. I think he just keeps it in standard tuning, and he kind of plays with his thumb over the neck a little bit to get the bass notes right. But on the record, it's tuned down and up at the same time. So leave it to Jake. Now, we got the tuning out of the way. I want to talk about actually something that I learned while learning this was the little intro, okay, so on Jake's original Charvel, you know, well, his original Super Strat that he had, the white one, he did not have a whammy bar. It was a hardtail. So when you hear him doing this stuff, and you watch videos of him, it's all behind the nut bends, which I have not done a lot because I always heard that it was bad for the nut on your guitar. I didn't want to mess those up, so I never got into those, but I'm like, I'm going to learn it this time. But what it taught me was this next one. And he does that. Then he goes. That part right there. What it did was, anytime I ever did this, because I never really practiced it, I would bend the string just straight down, you know, pushing down towards the headstock. And what happens is you can't actually get the pitch high enough, at least not on my guitar, and the other ones I tried to do it on, you can't get the pitch high enough to get to that. So what you have to do is pull the string down. So instead of pushing into the neck, I'm actually grabbing it and pulling it down, almost like I would bend a normal string. Right, you know, and I'm like, this is why learning this stuff is so cool and so important, because you hear it and I'm like, oh, he's using a whammy bar. I'm like, oh wait, Jake didn't have a whammy bar on his guitar. Then you see him do it. I'm like, he's doing it live. And I'm like, oh my god, it's all behind the nut bends. But that particular one, you have to pull the string down this way, not into the fretboard, or like go into the. See, because listen, that's as high as I can go if I push the string in. But if I pull down. Oh, it's hard harmonic to get. Right there, I'm like, so cool. So, the main riff, there's a lot of different parts going on. Again, lots of open strings involved in this, because you have this part where you're just kind of doing double stops on 7th fret of the D and G, little dyads, and then 7 and 4. I'm sorry, 7 and 6. So then you have the fill riff. Open A twice, open low E string, then 3rd fret, and open A. Which we know those strings are not tuned to E and A, but those are the strings. Look, again, back-to-back open strings. So many cool things. Man, and the chords? Jake is the best. Alright gang, that is going to do it for us here. Hopefully, maybe some of those things you didn't know already about Jake and his playing or his riffs, whatever it was. Jake's just an incredible songwriter. Just an incredible musician. So lots of very cool things that we can take away to incorporate into our own playing in his style. So if you guys would, check out the brand new course, Essential 80s Licks. And I'm bouncing out of here, guys. Don't forget, we are giving away this EVH 5150 Standard, so that'll be linked down below for you, so make sure you enter this in celebration of 80s Week, and I'll be seeing you all with the next one. Bye, homies. Woo!